Going into landscape, I was the wrong way around on the screen, which used to be an old problem. I thought I'd solved it, and then I just had a heart attack thinking it was here again. Okay folks, let's get some preliminaries out of the way. We'll just give it a couple of minutes. Cheers to the early arrivals. Make yourself known in live chat. Cheers. Okay folks, YML again, or YML, you got to correct me, let me know which way to pronounce that. It's very windy here today. We are just in a bit of a lull, but all of the pegs that are holding my roof on keep pinging off. I've got massive rips, massive new rips in the tent. UML. I'll try. UML. Massive rips in the tent that weren't there before. My bedroom is more or less just exposed to the outside. The winds at the moment are 30 plus kilometers an hour, but the gusts are in excess of 50. And to be honest, they're worse now than they were the days when they said they were going to be 65. Yeah, like that. Can you see how far this side's bending in? I don't know if you can see that. Every single day looks like a tornado. Hello Terry. Every day looks like a tornado. It's just a bad storm. It's been going on for 7, 8, maybe 9 days, depending how you count them. And it's not normally like this, I can assure you. So I'm hoping we'll be able to get through this today and do a proper TrampCast. This is a proper TrampCast, not a TrampCast special, but it's not covering the last 7 days. It's covering the 7 days up to last Sunday. So that was the oncoming storm, that was the build up to the storm, and then the first few days. Why do I look different than a day ago? I trimmed my beard. Or maybe it's just because it's light, I'm not doing it in the dark. That last one was a TrampCast special, was done at night from in my bed. I've trimmed the bulk of the beard. I need to trim these bits. I didn't get around to that yet today. And my friend Karen hopefully will be coming around at some point soon and giving me a haircut. More on that later maybe. Okay folks, now Despite my attempts to upload a thumbnail for this video, I'm not convinced that it went. On the first thumbnail I attempted, I'd got the episode number wrong. So that was fun. This is episode 58 of TrampCast, not 59. I was trying to write the notes for both at once, and I got myself confused when it came to doing the thumbnail. So I had to redo it. But what's going on with this slope? But YouTube's messing me about. A new interface. They've changed something, and it's not easy to edit a live stream once you've created it. So that was a little awkward. Anyway, folks, as I said, we are broadcasting this Sunday, March the 9th, 2025. But we are covering the 7 days up to and including Sunday, March the 2nd, 2025. I am Delta Mike. The channel is Down and Out in Torrevieja. Down and Out. A homeless guy. A tramp. A hobo. A vagrant. An indigent person. A person of no fixed abode. Some would say a bum. someone who sleeps rough, perhaps on the streets, or in my case, in a field. This is TrampCast, where we look at the successes, the failures, and the other happenings in my life as an Englishman trapped by circumstance in Spain. Okay, folks, before we get going, thumbs up if you're willing. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, or at least consider it, especially if you've seen more than a couple of my videos. Subscriptions are always welcome. Donate, possibly. You'll find a link in the description to a PayPal donate page if you're of a mind to donate, and if you're in a position to. Only if you have it to spare, folks. I don't know how I would get money out of GoFundMe, UML. I think it has to go out of GoFundMe into a bank, and I don't have a bank account. Okay, folks, in case you're joining late, check the bottom left-hand corner if you want to see the word live and a red dot. If you don't see the red dot, you're not live, and we might be an hour ahead of you and you're trailing behind. Maybe you'll make a comment and it'll be totally out of context. We might not survive this episode, folks. The tent might be gone. I'm hearing lots of pinging. I'm fairly certain that my grips, my pegs that we're holding the roof on are all they're all flying off. At least 3 that I've heard so far. That's going to be fun. Okay, we did the and join us in chat. Do join in chat, and you're looking for all messages rather than top messages. If you select top messages, you might miss out on some messages. If you're watching this on replay, on demand, then you want to try and get live chat replay. To get that, you would have to turn your phone to landscape, touch the video player, and you'd be looking for 2 symbols, 2 speech bubbles, one behind the other. That is live chat replay. You'll see the chat played back as it arrived here live during the actual broadcast. Let me have a look and see if I'm not missing a racist tornado. Imagine it in a tent. Yeah, you know, they're picking on me. Okay, folks, where am I? Okay, the format of the show is we do a quick numbers round. Just some facts about the episode number. This is episode 58, so in a moment we'll be doing some facts about the number 58. And there aren't many this week. Not many facts to go at. Following the numbers round, there's a thank you round, where I thank the donors from this week, the people who've donated via PayPal or in person. The week in question, not this week, the week in question. 2 weeks ago, basically. After that, we'll discuss the themes of the week. The core events and themes. There's another click, something else just flew off. There'll be no roof on here soon. After the themes for the week, we run through the week's events day by day. I'll try not to hang about too long with it this week, folks, but there is a lot to cover. It was quite a week, the week before this. And finally, we cover upcoming events, which, for obvious reasons, will be quite brief. Okay, folks, this is episode 58 of TrampCast. So, Jack attack. No tangents, no, we're not going off. There's another one pinging off. The roof is what's going to be doing the tangents. Click, click. That's either the grips plinking off or the tent poles snapping in the far corner. Oh, it's going to be a fun one, this. Fucking hell. Pardon my French. Okay, folks, where was I? Okay, I was thinking about how we go through the events of the week in question, the week up to March the 2nd, so up to last Sunday, and then a quick look at what we thought was going to happen ahead. Now, in the thank yous for this week, for the week in question, episode 50. Oh no, I'm getting ahead of myself. The numbers first. The tent is generally in a good direction for most wind. It's just at the moment we're being hit broadside from the east. I can't do anything about the position of the tent at the moment. It's been here a year. I'm not going to move it now. Okay, folks, this is episode 58 of TrampCast. So facts about the number 58. The number 58 is a semi-prime. So apart from the number 1 and itself, it's only divisible by 2 other numbers, and they are both primes themselves. Those are the numbers 2 and 29 multiplied together, which gives you your 58. The number 58 is also the sum of the first 7 prime numbers. If you add together 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13 and 17, you get 58. The International Direct Dialing Code with the number 58 will get you the country of Venezuela. And the atomic number 58 is an element that I'd literally never heard of till I researched this. Cerium. I presume it's a soft C rather than a K. Cerium, with the initials CE. It's a soft, ductile, silvery white metal, tarnishes in air, is considered a rare earth element, but perversely it's more prevalent in the earth's crust than some other metals such as lead and similar. 68 parts per million in the earth's crust. Hey Tina, you alright babe? Say hello to the peoples. Hey Tina. Tina girl. You didn't finish your food, babe. Finish your food. Tina's food. Tina's food and waters. That's my Tina girl. Where was I, folks? Okay. It is named after the dwarf planet Ceres, which in turn is named after a Roman god of agriculture. Discovered in Sweden in 1803 and independently in Germany the same year. So 2 independent discoveries. Hello Karen. Things are a little bit lively. Or maybe you're the calming influence that we needed, Karen. Okay folks, that was the numbers round for this episode 58 of TrampCast. Let me just rest the throat a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm shouting just to make sure that you can hear me above the racket that is the I'll call it a tent. I'll call it a tent. Cheers, UML. Okay, folks, that was the numbers round. So next is the thank yous. Again, just reminding you, this is not for the past week. It's for the week before. Cheers, Jack Attack. So the week ending March the 2nd, these are the thank yous. Terry, I got you down twice, my friend. And both times, that ain't cheap. One of them was labelled to get a new tap before the storm. Yeah, I didn't quite manage that. Maybe I'll go get one after the storm. Together with the other one that I've got here, if I get two good sized ones, I can maybe build this back into a tent again. Give my bedroom some privacy. Which university did I go to, asks my friend UML. Lancaster University, my local university, the city I was living in at the time. I was a mature student. But don't worry, I'm not clever. I just read Wikipedia for those facts about the number 58. There's no real cleverness here. I just read. Lancaster University, is it good? It was supposedly one of the top 3 business universities in the world at the time. So, yeah. Never did me any good, but yeah. Okay, let me carry on with the thank yous, if I can quiet Tina down. My friend Mark came around a couple of times that week. He brought me some raspberry Jaffa cakes one day, or a Jaffa cake equivalent, a Spanish one from, I think they were bought in Lidl, however you want to say that. But they were raspberry flavoured Jaffa cakes, fantastic. Thank you, Mark. And the other day that he came, he brought a newspaper, the second visit that week. And an ever-present is my friend Tom. Tom came around and brought me a dinner, a warm meal, and a beer. We sat and chatted for an hour or so on the Friday while the winds grew strong right at the beginning of this storm that has been with us ever since. So thank you to everybody that... Can you see that bowing in? No. I don't know, folks. None of my grips are on the tent anymore. I listened to them all pinging on. I think I just heard footsteps outside. Don't know. I'm not convinced we're going to make it through to the end of TrampCast in one piece. Don't worry, I have fallback positions if needed. Okay, as I was saying, thank you to everybody that helped that week. Jesus. Okay, folks. Wind tunnel by the sounds, yeah. They haven't gone missing, Karen. The grips are still here, but they just won't stay on in winds this strong. I've got ropes tying it to the ground and to the frame of the tent in places, so it should be okay. You can hear me okay, that's good. No idea what type of clamps they are, Jack, if that's what you're asking. And there's certainly a lot less than 58 if you're asking about a number of them. They were used by people to hold tarps onto market stalls in Britain back in the day. My friend Steve brought them out. Okay, folks, themes for the week during episode 58 here. The week ending March the 2nd. Basically, the main theme was the oncoming storm. Fairly early in the week, we got notification that that there was going to be a whole week or more of bad weather. That turned out to be right. TrampCast 58. I'm with you. Do I need some more, Karen asks? Possibly, but They do damage to the tarp overall, so if we put the new tarp on, I don't really want to be using them too much if I can avoid it, and certainly not before strengthening the positions, the points where the clamps go on, if they do go on. I got a few here that are gone up and around the poles, like on the top of the roof, and they've just put holes in the roof or ceiling, however you want to word that. Now this wind's due to slow down soon. When I last looked, it was 30 kilometers an hour average, but with gusts up to 50. I have a feeling it's been hitting us harder than it has at any point in the last 9 days. But I'm hoping it subsides soon. Where am I? Themes for the week. The oncoming storm was the biggie. That was the biggie. Knowing that was coming, trying to prepare, trying to patch the tent beforehand, trying to pull the tarpaulin nice and taut so that the wind had it was more difficult to get under and couldn't do as much damage. Also tightening the guy lines to hold the tent in place, make sure it didn't blow away. Taping some of the holes that were appearing and strengthening some places that were becoming weaknesses, but not quite holes. So that was a big theme for 2 or 3 days before the storm arrived. Preparing and trying to secure us against it. It was all for naught. It didn't really help. It all just blew away fairly quickly once the wind arrived. It was a worthy attempt, it just failed. I haven't seen 1.4 thousand subs. Last I saw I was on 1208 or 9. No, I got to 1211. 1211. Yeah, Jack Attack, I'll try that. Well, do I have plans to get back to normal? I thought I answered that one the other day, my friend. I have to just keep surviving for now. I don't have a viable way back. No. Between my bank and the legal system over here, I'm kind of screwed. And I basically need access to my money to get a lawyer, to get the legal thing sorted, and then I can go home. Then I can try and re-establish and rebuild. But for now, no, it's a holding pattern. Just keep surviving. Get through 10 days of storms without ending up dead. That sounds worse than it is, folks. I'm not that down. Another related theme for the week in question, for the week ending last Sunday, was managing my power. If you remember, the couple of weeks before, the weather forecast kept saying that there was going to be 3 or 4 days with no sunshine, and I'd be getting low on power, and then we'd get a little bit of sun, and I'd get a boost and get back up. That whole managing power. That whole managing the power. Tina, come back inside, darling. Tina, come on in. Okay. Tina, you're gonna damage the tent, sweetheart. Come on back in. I'm gonna damage the tent. Have you heard me? Come on, sweetie. That's a good girl. She suddenly decided she wanted to walk. Where was I? Oh yeah, the power kept going low, and then we'd get a little bit of sun, despite the forecast still indicating overcast, dull days. So, eking out my power and making my power last. Or, as the case turned out, it wasn't the big struggle that I thought it was going to be in that particular week. Don't know, folks. Yeah, this last week has been a lot more difficult to manage my power, but that's not the week that we're talking about here. Other themes for the week. Okay. Yeah. Tent repairs I've already kind of mentioned as an aside from the oncoming storm. I chose the term oncoming storm for this and one of the other videos at the start of this. It's my silly Doctor Who kind of sci-fi. For anyone that doesn't know, the oncoming storm is a nickname the Daleks have for Doctor Who. Allegedly. That was in the when they rebooted, or when they brought Doctor Who back in 2008. I think that was when it came back. So yeah, the oncoming storm, managing the tent, just trying to stay dry and warm. That's my other theme for the week down here. And the ever-present one of being thankful for the help that I do get from people. People who bring me food and food and drink, like my mate Tom. People who just come and sit and have a chat. My mate Mark, who brings me the newspaper. From my other friend Colleen. I should mention Colleen. It's Colleen that acquires the newspapers, and she's been sending Mark to bring them. So thank you, Colleen, as well as Mark. Thank you both. I should have mentioned that earlier. But yeah, those are the main themes for the week, folks. So let me have a quick swig just to calm the throat. See how calm it gets. He says just as it doesn't. When the wind drops, it's lovely. Am I missing chat? My channel was mentioned on Paul Mesner's channel. Really? Wow. People are talking about me. That can't be good, can it? Oh, mate. Public defenders will defend you with a... Well, they don't. Well, let me tell you what my experience with a public defender with this last case. Just as a little aside here before we get on with the... I was never told what I was charged with. The lawyer never discussed the case with me before going off and trying to negotiate like the settlement or... She just came back and she said, here's your choice. 3 months in prison or pay €450. And I'm like, yeah, but what's the actual charge? And then I said, what about the fact that I was arrested on private land, not in public? So any public order elements of the charge is just bullshit. They arrested me for not giving my ID, which they can do in public. The Spanish police can just demand your ID at any time you're in public. My argument would be I wasn't in public. I told her this, and she just says, oh, that's not what the other lawyer said. See if you get the reference there, guys. Idiocracy. That's not what the other lawyer says. She basically said, they say that you were camping illegally, and therefore, blah, blah. She literally just gave it the, that's not what they said. And public defenders, not great. They just want to shuffle you through the system. They don't want to actually get you found not guilty. And I've got other questions that are ongoing and other things that I can't just get a public defender about. So it's more complex than that. I need to settle the fact that I'm here illegally so that when I try and leave the country, it's already sorted and I don't get hauled into a darkened room and miss my flight. I need to sort that out in advance, if possible, so that they're expecting me when I get there and they know it's already been dealt with. Otherwise I'll be kind of hauled off the flight or not allowed to get on the flight, and I'll miss it, and I'll have paid money that I don't have for a flight that doesn't even let me on. So that won't be fun. Okay folks, we're coming up for 30 minutes in, so we'll begin in a moment. Cheers to the subscribers. If you're feeling left out, if that doesn't include you, click the little button down below and subscribe. The next time I say cheers to the subscribers, it'll include you, won't it? Okay folks, let's begin. We start, as we usually do, son of Something's click, click, click. I don't know what. I should probably show you the... I got a heart attack there. I thought I saw a rip in the... roof. But it was that spot of tape there with the, that does have a rip under it, but I don't know. Can you hear the click, click, click? I don't know what that is. I don't know, folks. There's my telly under that plastic cover. Sorry, Karen. There's my Christmas tree. I can't get it to stay stood up. So for the duration of this storm, it's laid down. Okay, folks, let's begin. This is TrampCast episode 58. We are covering the week up to Sunday, March the 2nd, 2025, which is the week before last. We begin as we usually do with the Sunday immediately following the last TrampCast. And I didn't half have a backache after sitting in this chair for so long. And then deconstructing this podium that you're on. I had to put things back and start to put things away, and there's a big old heavy bag of clothing and bedding currently on the bed that lives on this chair when it's not being used. Moving that back and forwards, I had one hell of a fucking backache. All that, the long sit and then the fetching and carrying. Because I ragged my back a few weeks ago. About 6 weeks ago now, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago before when we're talking about. Just wasn't doing anything, just trying to step around the dog. To feed her, and she was like in the way, and I went to twist around her and my back just clunked, and that was me. So ever since, certain movements and certain things are just aggravating it continuously. It's not like I can just lay in bed for 3 or 4 days and just let it go away. I'm constantly bending to get in and out of the tent or the bedroom. I'm bending, I'm twisting, I'm having to carry the back end of my dog when we go for walks. I'm holding her back end up. So there's a lot of physicality involved in being a tramp. It's hard work. I don't recommend it. We shall continue, folks. We shall push on. Onwards, ever onwards. We will not be deterred. So I took Tina. Tina had started whimpering at the end of the last TrampCast, the one 3 weeks ago. And so the end of this one that we're talking about now, she was doing the same again, even though she'd been walked immediately beforehand. So I decided to take her for a walk, and she was just being a nuisance, I think. She didn't really need anything much. So we got back in. I got on the bed or into the bed just to sit down and watch a few videos and what have you. And I did something I haven't done in years. I took not just one painkiller, I took 2 painkillers at the same time. I haven't done that, I don't know, 9 or 10 years, I would guess. I don't take tablets often. I usually don't have them in, or don't have many in. I like to have a few, a box of ibuprofen and a box of paracetamol. But I never know where they are, and I never use them, very rarely. But we had some in because Tina a while ago, we thought she might have been in pain with the back end going the way it was. So I'd been dosing her with a small amount of paracetamol. Researched the proper doses, don't worry. But it didn't make any improvement. She didn't seem to get any better with it, so I stopped giving her them. But it meant that I had some in when I got a bad back. So yeah, that was different. So that was it, folks. I was in that kind of glow that I get after I do a TrampCast. I have a bit of a come down session afterwards, and I fell asleep nice and early this particular night, and only woke once all night. Which, if you can imagine living out in a field, you're usually, there'll be movements with animals or people walking past on the track, cars coming past. Normally I'm awake on and off all night, but this particular week fell asleep, and that was me. Just woke up once in the night. So Monday morning, woke at 7:30, and even though I was awake, I was still tired. Couldn't stir myself out of bed until 9:30, and then got out and took Tina and went and did the dog walk and made coffee, did the usual basic things, put the solar panel out. Now the weather forecast, as I said before, the weather forecast was for very little in the way of sun the entire week. So I was putting out panels more in hope, that, you know, more in desperation than actual expectation some of these days. But after I made my coffees, I it was actually a little bit nice. Sat outside for a little bit. That was different. Sitting out on a day when they said there's going to be no sun, you get to sit out, and also the EcoFlow starts getting charged. In fact, not only does it start getting charged, by 10:30 it's fully charged. Now a few weeks ago, it didn't start charging until then. The sun wasn't getting high enough above the trees or coming far enough around. Now we're getting done by then. And this was on a day that wasn't going to be sunny, allegedly. So because it'd been sunny and it wasn't meant to be, I thought I'll have a look at the weather forecast. And this was when we saw it. This was when I spotted the beginnings of the oncoming storm. When I looked later in the week, they were saying that like Thursday and Friday onwards were going to be bad. It was supposed to be over by now. It's Tina. Hey babe. Hey. But this is not meant to be doing this now, folks. It's supposed to be slackening off by now, I'm sure. Bloody weather forecasts. Who needs them? Me. Okay, so this is when we saw the first hints of the oncoming storm, and I was damn right shocked at the scale of some of the stuff they were talking about. When I saw what was going to be happening supposedly on the Friday and the Saturday. It was too early in the week yet to see what was going to happen on the following Wednesday. But they were talking about 35 millimeters of rain on the Saturday and 10 or 12 on the Friday before it. And also winds, like I said, the wind speeds were averaging 40, but with gusts up to 65. And I thought this tent had no way of surviving that kind of shit. I was damn right shocked at the scale of what I was looking at on the weather forecasts. But apparently the next few days weren't going to be too bad. You know, this was Monday, and it wasn't going to get bad until Thursday, Friday. But as you can see, that was the beginning. That was the first alert of the week of hell that was going to come upon us, or come upon me and Tina. So not only was the Friday, Saturday going to be bad, and I found out later that Wednesday was going to be really bad, but every day in between was going to be 10 millimeters or more of rain, and winds in the average speeds of 30 kilometers, with gusts obviously higher. So that was a shock. But anyway, back to the Monday itself. The Monday itself turned out to be quite a nice day. As I said, we sat outside for a bit. I got all my batteries and everything charged. I got the phone charged up to 100%, the tablet charged to 100%, the lantern, this one, that was fully charged. Everything was fully charged and ready to go. And at 4 o'clock the EcoFlow was still on 100%. Usually in an afternoon the solar panel goes in the shade And so the EcoFlow doesn't get any more power, and I use it, I drain it a little bit. So we'll often start the night already on like 90 or just below. This is getting a bit hairy, guys. This is getting a little bit hairy. I can't show this properly. How much this leans in when the wind blows. And so now it doesn't do it well. If you saw one of the earlier videos, sorry, excuse hands. When we first got this tent, when we first put this tent up, there was a bad storm, a lot of wind in the first 2 or 3 days. And I was sitting here like this and I was getting hit on the back of the head by the tent, by this wall. It's like that again. Okay, where was I? Okay, the Monday itself, so not bothering too much about the weather forecast. Back to the Monday itself. As I said, sunny day, got everything charged, all the batteries, the tablet, the phone, everything. But again, the forecast for the Tuesday and Wednesday, even though they weren't bad, look how far in that, you can't see it, it doesn't show well on the phone. Look how far in this is leaning. Look at that! That's totally ridiculous. It's coming in at this side, and that's not even the side where the wind's coming from. Oh, fuck. Let me have a look at chat, I'm sure I've missed a lot of messages. I'll show you outside later. Oh yeah, UML. You need to look back at. There's a whole playlist of videos on my police interactions. The who, how, when, where, whys of getting arrested. The truth of the matter is, when you're homeless, you get a lot of interactions with the police, and if they're just in that mood, they'll just arrest you because that's how they are sometimes. This is knackered. I think the tent just broke. This corner is no more. That's not straightening back up, folks. That's just leaning in. I think the pole broke. So fuck. What is going on? Look at that, the wind's dropped and that side of the tent is just leaning in still. It's not springing back. I wonder if the pole bent so far, there's like a screw goes up the bottom of the pole. I wonder if it's come unclipped, if it bent over so far. I don't know, folks. I'll deal with it later or tomorrow. Fuck it. I can't do everything. There's no point battling it right now. While the wind's like this, everything that I put back in place just bounces off and springs off. There's no point fighting it. I'm just going to sit here and let happen what happens and deal with the consequences afterwards. I am done in terms of battling it right now. If I get a sunny day without any wind, I'll go around and re-secure and refix everything and put the new tarp on. Maybe buy a second tarp with the money from Terry. Not sure how much an 8 metre by 4 metre tarp costs, but if I had 2 of them, I could literally cover the tent from ground to ground on all 4 sides, I think. It goes back to what I said a few days ago about basically ignoring the old material of the tent and just using the poles. Just basically build a new tent out of the framework. Where was I, folks? Let's try and find my spot. Okay, got everything. Yeah, okay. The EcoFlow was on 100% and everything was charged. That's right. But the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday was for no sun. So I was planning how I was going to eke out. My EcoFlow normally, with my normal usage, would last me about a day and a half. I can eke that out a little bit and possibly make it last 2 days. So I was looking at that and how I would reduce my consumption of power. So that was a worry, but it wasn't the biggest worry in the world. But I think I've said before, having power is important to me. I spent 5 months with no power, with nothing that would use power. And it was the most miserable 5 months ever. Yeah. So I settled down for an evening. So even though I was looking at the EcoFlow and worrying about how I would make it last if there was no sun for those days, I was also telling myself not to worry because the weather forecast has been wrong. Every time it's kind of indicated almost 0 sun for a day, for a full day, it's been wrong. We'll get a little bit of brightness here and a bit of brightness there and maybe half an hour of weak sunshine there. And that's enough just to boost the EcoFlow back up. My solar panel can pick up and run with that and work with that. So I was getting a little bit cocky as well. I was telling myself, yeah, no worries, it's not actually going to happen. It's not going to be as bad as you think it is. I started to get a little bit cocky. Just expecting to survive it and roll with it and not have a problem. So I sat down, as I said, I sat down for the evening. I made myself a couple of coffees and a big pan of chicken soup and rice. The packet soup is supposed to use 1 litre. I'll put about 1.5 litres of water in the pan. Pour the soup contents in and also either rice, some days rice and some days just extra pasta. And I put so much in that by the time it's all cooked, it's absorbed basically all of the liquid of the soup, and I'm just left with a pan full of either flavoured rice or flavoured pasta. Very, very filling. Oh, and I also sat down. I ran out of space on my phone, which has been a long-running battle for those of you that have been here a while. I've filled up all my pen drives and SD cards, and my 2 terabyte external hard drive is unavailable to me because of that file allocation table problem. If you do have a Windows laptop and you're here, I could do with borrowing it for 10 minutes, folks. Somebody. Just let me clear this file allocation table problem and get my external hard drive so that I can connect it to my phone again. Then all these problems go away. Managing disk space and deciding of the stuff that I've got that's really important to me, which is not that important. Okay, folks, that was Monday. That was the end of Monday, and what a day it had been with the shock of what was to come. So Tuesday, woke early, 4 o'clock, and just watched TV and kept checking the weather forecast to see how bad this was all going to be. And as you'd expect, the weather forecasts are up and down. Yeah, oh, it's going to be this much rain. No, it's only going to be that much rain. No, no, it's going to be even more rain. Up and down like it. Is anybody else worried? The fuck? Why am I ignoring comments? Because they're not on screen. Because they're not on screen. The YouTube app's terrible. Give us a good advice, please. What would you like good advice about? Don't stick it into crazy. That's good advice. Don't go with crazy women. Bagel or pretzel? I don't like either. Proper bread. Give me a bap. Give me a tea cake. Give me a white loaf. Sliced white loaf, thank you. Take off in a minute, Cheds. Yeah, it's resume. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. Yeah, I will take it. I was trying to do that and somehow my finger caught the did you just say tea cake? Yeah, that's what they're called where I'm from. Bread buns are tea cakes, and you get fruit tea cakes with the currants and raisins in them. It's got nothing to do with the drink, tea. How long have I lived like this? Well, that question depends, my friend. Oh, look at this one. Look at this, leaning in. It's crazy. Let's go back. Where's Tina? Hey, babe. There you go. There you go. There's my Tina girl. Our scones are different from tea cakes. So I've been in this field for about 2.25 years, is it? I've been homeless 2.5 years. The tent is 1 year old. It was brand new 1 year ago. The roof split about 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And this particular bout of damage, that's this weekend. This weekend. Well, it's secured adequately enough to stand for a year. And I went around and secured it all back again a week ago before the storm started, and every 5 minutes since. So pretty much I've done as much as I can with it. But 60 kilometers an hour winds aren't something it was built to withstand. Not for continuous use for a year. Okay folks, where was I? I was waking up on Tuesday morning, if I remember correctly. I woke up at 4 in the morning and was just watching programs on the tablet and on the phone. Got up at 8:45, bit of a late start. Do the police bother me? Yes, there's a whole playlist of my police interactions. If you follow the link on the channel, click the channel name down below, look for playlists, and look for Tramp versus Police. Fill your boots, all the interactions you like. Although they have left me alone for the last 7 or 8 months, I think. Here we go, folks. If it wasn't for the chair, I would be being hit on the back of the head. The only reason I'm not being is because of the chair blocking the wall, or blocking the door. Okay, where am I, folks? Where am I? Tuesday morning still, isn't it? Tuesday morning. 8:45, the EcoFlow is on 78%, which is about typical. Most days will be somewhere around, hovering around 80. first thing in the morning. Tina, quiet girl. Quiet, quiet. Quiet, quiet. Oh, let me get my notes steady. Let me get my nerves steady. Fuck. We're still doing, is the tea cake conversation still going on? Yeah, we see. This is one of the, this is one of those ever-present regional conversations in the UK. Bams, baps, tea cakes, bread rolls. Let me get on with it, folks. I don't think I can anymore. No, I did have for a while, Ian, but I got demonetized because I couldn't give them the tax details that they need. Hello, John. John Oldwinkle in the house. Okay, let me get back to it, folks. We've got a lot to get through still. We're only on Tuesday. And this is not the week just gone, this is the week before. Because I didn't do TrampCast last week. I was a little bit busy with a storm. And if I'd known it was going to be this bad now, I wouldn't have done today's either, to be fair. I really enjoyed the TrampCast special a couple of nights ago. Was that Thursday night, I think it was? No, Friday night. It was Friday, wasn't it? That was the other thing about super chats and super thanks. Google take 30%, don't they? I got a PayPal link if anybody does want to donate. Check the description. About halfway down the page you'll find hidden away a link to a PayPal donate page. I am going to have to buy a new tent fairly soon by the looks of things, folks. But as an intermediate step, I'm gonna try patching with new tarpaulins, covering with new tarpaulins. Okay, let's get on with it. Oh, this was where the sun not really sun came out, but it was a little bit bright for a while, heading on for 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday of that week, and I started picking up 18 watts from the solar panel. Now the EcoFlow needs 15 to start charging, but I had devices plugged in. I think my phone was plugged in and charging, which brings the net solar input down below the threshold. So my phone charging at 607 watts meant I was missing out on 18 watts. So I basically unplugged everything for a while to give the EcoFlow a chance to do its thing. So about that time I took her ladyship here for a doggy walk, did the coffees, all that usual morning routine. And when I came back about half an hour later, the EcoFlow was already up to 85% and was now charging at 30 watts. At that rate, it would be fully charged by 10:15 again, despite it not even being a sunny day according to the forecast. Oh, here was the other thing. I'd put out some solar lights, like fairy lights. Mel and Adam a few weeks ago gave me 3 strings of fairy lights, but they need you have to turn them on when you put them out for them to charge. I know it sounds perverse, but you turn them on, the built-in solar panel detects the light and switches the lights off to charge. I'd had these things out for about 2 hours when I suddenly remembered I'd not turned the buggers on as I put them out. Tina girl, quiet, quiet. It's okay. It's okay. It's just a bit of wind. It's just a bit of wind. A bit of wind never hurt anybody. It's okay, babe. Hey, come here. Come here. It's okay. It's okay. Cuddles with daddy. Cuddles with daddy. Yeah. Hey, babe. Hey, babe. There she is. Calm down. It's just a bit of wind. It's okay. A bit of wind never hurt anybody. It's not going to hurt us. I won't let it. Oh, this Someone made a PayPal donation. Okay, I got people following me. Oh, I guess on Twitter. I'm not sure where. I'll find out later. How long have I had Tina? I've had Tina for 8 and a bit years, I think. She's 9, if I remember correctly. She'll be 9 any minute now, and I got her in the December of that year. Okay, folks. So it's been a good day overall this Tuesday. The sun was there even though it wasn't meant to be. Everything was fully charged. So I decided to cook a nice soup from scratch. I had some potato. I've got some veg, still have, and it'll be on the turn quite soon. But I made potato and leek soup with all the other veg as well: celery, carrots. What else? Onion, celery, carrots. I got my mirepoix cooking turn. And I was doing it in milk. I cooked it with milk and mustard as the base, and it was lovely. Had about 3 pans full. Looks windy, it does indeed. Yeah, that would be an understatement. That would be an understatement. I think we're going to take serious damage tonight. It was supposed to be raining this last hour, so that didn't happen. So that's a good sign. Maybe I can ignore any other rain forecasts for this evening. If we can stay warm and dry, I'm not bothered if the roof's gone entirely. I lived in here for 2 or 3 weeks when the roof went, and I didn't bother putting the tarpaulin on anyway. But that was back in summer, I guess. Okay, folks, where are we? I'm eating my soup, and there was a forecast that evening, that Tuesday. There was a forecast for light rain, and that started while I was finishing off cooking or finishing off eating. But it was really light. It was an hour early, but it was something and nothing. It just came and went. As I was saying before, like most nights, I was awake all night on and off. I had to chase a mouse out of my bedroom at one point. Little bastards they are. They're little buggers. Tenacious little bastards. But you don't want to wake up in the morning and find the droppings on the cabinet or on the box next to your head. I'm still working on the mousetrap idea. Okay, folks, so that was Tuesday night. Into Wednesday. 4 o'clock dog walk. Despite the fact that we'd had a midnight dog walk. Hey girl. Sometimes. Fucking strangler. So while I'm awake, after doing the dog walk, I again checked the weather forecast. And this Saturday that's worrying me, the forecast has dropped from 35 millimetres down to 0.3 millimetres. This is how much the forecasts were varying. 25 millimetres, 35 millimetres, 0.3 millimetres for the day. I mean, what the fuck is that? What kind of forecast is that? But it still said rain all week. No sun, lots of rain, and it was still talking about these 40, 50, 60 kilometre an hour winds. Which I think you can see we were probably due to get. It's a week later. It was more than a week after the storm arrived and we're still getting them. Oh! Sorry, I saw there was a comment there. It actually flashed up for once, but I was distracted elsewhere. Yeah, being on the coast is always a problem. Although, if it comes from the northeast, it has a clear path to us. If it comes from directly east, there's a bank of trees that will often shelter us from the worst of it. I'm guessing it's coming from the northeast at the minute. You'll see, there was one night in here, or it might be in the week after, there was one night where I was laying here and I could hear the wind outside, but nothing here was moving. It was perfectly calm, but I could hear it. So that would have been the other side of the trees, with the trees protecting us. Okay, so we're back to Wednesday morning, 8:45, and we're pulling in 15 watts again from the solar panel, but it's not charging the EcoFlow. Again, I've got something plugged in taking that 1 or 2%, just dragging the net input below 15, and so it wasn't charging. So again, it was a disconnect everything and wait half an hour, and gradually the sun gets a little bit stronger. It wasn't really sunny, just bright, you know, light, sun shining through clouds. But we managed to get everything fully charged again, this time 100% by 10 o'clock, which to me is incredible, because like I said before, it's only 2 or 3 weeks ago I couldn't start charging until almost 10, like quarter to 10, something like that. I was just starting to charge. Now we're fully topped up by 10. It's incredible. Now the sky's cleared a bit, and so I took Tina out, I did the 2 coffees thing, and I sat out, and the sun came out. Sat out actually in the sun, and had my breakfast again, which was the soup from the previous day. Another couple of bowls of I did a big pan, a cauldron. But by the time I'd finished, there was only about a third of the pan left. I'd used it all, you know, over the 2 or 3 bowls the night before, and a couple of bowls for breakfast. I'd used a lot of it up, but I'd still got a lot of the veg here, and needed using some of it. So later in the day, I padded the soup out, put in some extra potatoes, leeks, celery, carrots, milk and mustard, and set it cooking. Obviously it needed cooking in from scratch, because fresh carrots and potatoes are going to need a full cook. Here's the only problem I had. The wind decided, in between me deciding to add the extra veg and chopping it all up and getting it all ready, between that and actually being ready to start cooking it, the wind picked up. And trying to cook when it's blowing a gale, you can smell the like the flames half getting blown out, and the gas is just coming out and not igniting, and the flames leaning off to one side, so half your flame isn't even under the pan anymore. So it took a fucking long time to cook and get that soup back ready to eat for the evening meal. Took a long time. And Wednesday night, I intended to watch Scruff Dog, and it's not a Lego stream at the minute, but I was going to watch Scruff Dog over on YouTube there, and I fell asleep. I think I started to watch it, but didn't get too far, maybe half an hour in, and that was me gone, zonked. So Thursday morning, folks, again, it became a bit of a pattern, this waking at 4 a.m. And it was actually cool. I'm not going to say cold, but it was below 8 degrees, and I did actually just feel I think I'd slept just in a t-shirt rather than a t-shirt and jumper, and I was actually just a little bit cold around the back of the ears and the neck. I didn't have my what's the word I used? You know that scarf that's knitted, so it's just a circle, goes around your head. Well, around your neck, over your head, and just stays. Something in my mouth there. Don't know what that is. So yeah, anyway, I didn't have that one, so I was a little bit cool. And I checked the forecast, obviously, you know, any spare moment I'm checking the forecast, because there's this big storm coming any day now. The forecast has been for all beginning Friday, and maybe with a little bit the tail end of Thursday. Now, as the more I'm checking, the more that's backing off. It's not going to be the Thursday, it's going to be the Friday. And by the time we get there, it's not really going to be the Friday. It's going to be like midnight Friday onwards. So Saturday onwards, basically. It kept backing off and backing off. But the forecasts for the amount of rain and the amount of wind were kept all over the place. So the last we heard, Saturday's rain was going to be 0.3 of a millimetre. It wasn't going to be that low. But that was the forecast. And it starts again, by the next day it starts climbing again. It's building. Okay, the EcoFlow. Okay, I put the solar panel out 8:30 because it was almost sunny, actual sun. And the EcoFlow starts on 78, goes up to 83, and we've got 12 watts coming in. It dropped a bit. The sunshine strength dropped. Oh, I've missed a few. Southwest. It wasn't southwest when I just stood out there before we started. I'll tell you what happened. Or what happens. I'm at the bottom of two hills and it gets a bit swirly around here sometimes. UML is deleting posts. Did something get stuck? Yeah, I saw he made a message and it got. It was repeating. I've seen that happen to people before. Oh, deleted by Jack Attack. Yeah, I don't think he's doing it deliberately. Who was it did it? There's a guy a few weeks ago. Keyboard gets stuck sometimes or something, yeah. Okay. I'm trying as much as I can to ignore all of this around me and just get... Okay, it wasn't that. Okay. Oh, itchy ear. This is why I have you moderators on call. Cheers, Jack Attack. Where am I, folks? Where am I? Okay, so the EcoFlow is charging, but then it goes dull, and I'm worried that we're not going to get the full charge. I'm not too worried. We're on 80-odd%. It's not that big. It's only the morning still. But 11 o'clock suddenly gets bright. Oh, bright. I'm suddenly pulling in 86 watts, and it's going to take like 10 minutes to fully charge the EcoFlow. So I went from being a little bit worried to having more power than I knew what to do with. So this was the Thursday, as I said, and it was all due to start on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But so I spent Thursday afternoon. I spent 3 hours going around tightening the guy lines, adding some extra lines. I added some ropes to the tarpaulin, to the grommets, so it wasn't just the pegs that were securing it. If they give, there are some tent pegs and lines actually holding it so it doesn't blow away entirely. That's the nightmare. I don't mind if it like folds off at one side and it's flapping about and still attached at the other. But if it comes off and blows away, I'd be buggered. Keep going. I'm going to keep focusing here. I'm going to focus here rather than there. Focus here rather than there. As well as tightening guy lines, I was patching some of the holes in the tent, or attempting. I got a slit from ceiling to floor, and I put about 4 or 5 bin bags taped up to try and block the hole. The idea is that the rain's going to run down the tarpaulin on the roof ceiling, and then it's going to drip down. But because of the shape, because the tent is like a dome or a tube, the rain dropping from high up isn't far enough out to reach the floor. It's going to drop through a gap in the wall and hit the floor inside the tent. So I figured if I could put some plastic sheeting there of whatever kind, just to guide the water to ground. But I had trouble with the duct tape. It doesn't like sticking to dirty old tents. It sticks to itself marvellously. It sticks to the bin bags fine, but sticking it to the tent didn't really. What I find with duct tape is if you can get it to stick for 2 days, maybe 3, it'll stick for years. But if you can't get it to stick solidly for 2 days, it's not going to hold come any type of serious challenge like wind and rain. But I gave it a go anyway. I patched what I could where I could and went around. Like I said, tightening guy lines, adding extra tent pegs, doing what I could. This is where my friend Mark arrived in the evening, bringing me the raspberry Jaffa cakes. Nice. He'd brought me Jaffa cakes, proper McVitie's Jaffa cakes, from England a few weeks ago. Because you can't, I've never seen them here, proper Jaffa cake. I didn't even know that there were these alternate ones in Lidl. I can't get there anyway, but Lidl's quite away from here. It's about a mile, I guess. A good 20-25 minute walk. But also, my dog can't walk anywhere. I don't get to go to shops much anyway. But Mark brought me those Spanish Jaffa cakes, or those fake Jaffa cakes. And again, I checked the weather forecast, and Friday's the forecast is for 13 millimeters of rain at this point. It climbs, folks. It climbs before we get there. It climbs. Had a quiet evening and a quiet night. Walked Tina at midnight and fell asleep not long after. So that's Thursday. Now we're into Friday. Remember, this is the oncoming storm. It begins. It's supposed to be happening Friday, 9 o'clock in the morning, midday. It gets put back. But this is the day that we've been waiting for. This is the oncoming storm. Here it comes. Any minute now, kind of thing. Supposedly. So Friday morning, woke up 3 o'clock, and I check all the different weather forecasts. They're all way worse than they were when I fell asleep. They're all way worse. I don't detail them here, I don't think. I did actually in my notebook, in my original note, I was writing down like an update every few hours. But let's just say it was getting crazy. And the wind was getting, the wind forecast was getting crazy. And it had been windy the night before, and it was actually windy on the Friday, but not too windy at this point. So my plan for Friday is to catch as much solar as possible, because we're coming into days when it's definitely not going to be sunny, allegedly. The plan is to go around and double check all the fastenings for the tarp. Some of the new knots that I've tied, and it's not so much the knots, well, maybe my choice of knots. I had this very plasticky bit of rope, and I tried tying it with a friction hitch. So it's secured at one end with just a proper loop, and up at the top it goes into the tarp through the grommet and back out, and then you tie a knot there. It's not really a knot, it's a hitch. So it actually slides. But it's supposed to, once you put it where you want it, it's supposed to hold through its own friction. But like I said, it's a shiny plastic rope, so it doesn't, it moved more easily than it should, and loosened off, it slackened off under tension instead of tightening under tension. Bad choice of rope, bad choice of knots, call it what you will, it was what it was. So every now and again I have to slide it back and just reposition it, but it's alright for what it is. It's alright for what it is. It hasn't failed me totally yet, and despite the winds that you've just been seeing here, and it's been surviving that for over a week now. Here we're on Friday morning. This is Friday morning, like 10 days ago, whenever that is. A week and 2 days, whatever it is. Tina girl. Tina. Quiet. Where am I? Let me start at the beginning. So yeah, there's the plan. I'm going around and I'm resecuring and checking everything. I'm checking all of the duct tape that I've used the day before, and I'm rubbing it, making sure it sticks, making sure it adheres, and where it hasn't, putting new stuff on and over the top. Okay. So the EcoFlow, we get up to 80% fairly early on. We're receiving 20 watts of power despite all the doom and gloom forecasts that were for overcast and and nothing good. We keep getting lucky in the morning with little bright patches. Not necessarily sunshine, just bright enough to trigger the panel. And I guess I'm fortunate that it's a nice big panel, 100-watt panel. So even when it's only getting a fraction of of sunlight, it still generates enough to trickle charge the EcoFlow and get us back where we need to be. Let me see, I've lost my spot, folks. I've lost my spot. Oh, there we are, EcoFlow. Oh, okay, so 10 o'clock or 10:30. This was where I recorded the video, wasn't it? The initial video of the oncoming storm. I recorded me standing outside saying, "Hey folks, this is about to get bad," and what have you. And it was a real shout back to the very first videos on this channel. The first 5 or 6 videos on this channel. This channel started when I was living under a broken tarpaulin, held together, just supported by 6 broom handles. The tarpaulin was falling apart, and someone had recently given me a phone. 2 ladies had put together and bought me a phone. Anita and Tina bought me a phone, and then I saw a weather forecast that said 10 days with heavy thunder and lightning and heavy rainstorms every day for the next 10 days. So it was a real callback to the beginning of the channel. Wow, just wow. I'm going to keep my focus here if I can, folks. Otherwise I'll be bricking myself, I'll be shooting myself. I'm saying I'm going to keep my focus here and I've lost it entirely. Okay, yeah, shout back to my first ever videos. So after I'd recorded the video out there, I came in here, waited a few minutes, and just recorded a little bit of a weather forecast. And then just settle down and let the day be the day, just lay down in bed. I'd done most of the preparations I could think to do. I just had to wait for it to begin. And my friend Tom arrived and brought me a chicken dinner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And a beer. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, thank you. A nice warm chicken dinner. And a can of beer. Good combination. Warm food, cold beer. And we sat outside for an hour, chatting while I ate the food, and we sat and chatted for an hour. But the wind was beginning to pick up, and it was starting to get a little bit cool. And so we didn't hang around too long, even though it was 3:30 when he arrived, say 4:30 when he left. Normally he would come at 4 and we'd sit and chat while it's 6. But the wind was just getting up that bit much, and it was the beginning, folks, the beginning of the storm, really. The winds were, well, the average speed was 29 kilometers an hour, which I panic when I see 30 kilometers. But then you've got the gusts coming in heavier. But we knew that this was just the beginning, and we were going to get much stronger winds, much stronger than 30. Much stronger. 65. But it didn't seem too bad. It seemed quite manageable at 29 or 30 kilometers an hour. I was getting a little bit arrogant, a little bit, oh, we can handle this. If this is 30 and that's all it's do, that's no problem. We can handle this. This is a walk in the park. I was starting to get a little bit above myself, a little bit. But it seems likely that while I was in the tent laying there listening to it, it seems likely it had moved around from northeast to east, and this bank of trees was probably protecting us. Because I could hear the wind, it's just the tent was perfectly calm and still. Unlike now. But I was awake most of that night, in and out of the tent. when the tarp gets hit with a strong gust of wind, these pegs that are holding it on, these clamps, they twang off. Don't know if you ever did that with the ones on the clothesline as a kid. Oh, Tina, you're knocking the dog. See if I can get her to say hello again. Hey, babe. Hey, babe. Hey, say hello to the people. There she is. She's just getting a drink. But because she's unstable on her legs, she's nudging the pedestal, the laundry bin that you're perched upon. I do like it when we get these quiet bits. If we could just get those all the time. Let me just double check. See what's going on in chat. Don't argue with the moderators, UML. They're appointed for a reason. It's pretty amazing how the locals support me. It is. In fact, I'll say this now. The lady this morning that I nicknamed Morticia, she got the long dark hair, looks like Morticia Addams from the Addams family. Every 2 or sometimes 3 months she'll chuck me either a 10 or a 20 euro note, and today she did that, and also a couple of baguettes. One of the baguettes was for the dog, one was for me. I get a lot of support from people around here. I get a lot of support from you guys out there. The PayPal donations the last time I needed a tent were so phenomenal. I had money left over to put towards the EcoFlow, which the EcoFlow and the solar panel are what have truly revolutionised this for me over the last year. It's probably about 11 months ago that I got the EcoFlow. But the EcoFlow and the solar panel have really changed everything. Being able to reliably keep enough power to charge phones and tablets, and now electric blankets and televisions if I choose. In summer I had a fan going in the bedroom. So yeah. It is amazing. The 2 ladies that brought me food 2 or 3 weeks ago, they're actually Brits, but in apartments overlooking the tramp camp here. Initially, people in that set of apartments were very against me even being here. So it's dropping at 7 or 8 o'clock. It drops down and gets slower. Okay, cheers, Jack Attack. Tina, go. Tina, it's just another doggy, darling. It's just another doggy. I've got a very dry mouth. I think it's because of the wind blowing through the tent. Told you I was a prepper. Got one ready. I'm unprepared. The chefs would call it mise en place. Everything in its place and ready. Cheers to the subscribers. And to anyone else here who's watching. Cheers, folks. So far, we are surviving these winds. 30 mile per hour, so we're looking at what? Is that about 50? That's 50 kilometers, yeah? The gusts at the minute. Yeah. I could do without it, to be honest. I could do without it. Cheers. RLRG. Is there a real name behind that? RLRG. It's almost as obscure as Delta Mike. Okay, folks, I got to find my place on the page again, haven't I? We were on Friday, weren't we? Tom had been with his chicken dinner. tempting fate. Where am I? Someone tell me where I got to. Did I start on Saturday yet? No, I didn't. Okay, I'm about here. All of your initials, okay. So after Tom and his chicken dinner, and I came inside, the wind seemed manageable, yeah. But the repair that I'd done around my bedroom, in particular the far corner, so that the far wall had been a problem, that had a horizontal split fairly low down for a long time. So any water that got through the tarpaulins into the tent wall would run down and into the tent through that slot, through that, which is why the tarps were there in the first place. But the corner had a big fail as soon as the winds kind of started. And I tried putting some of these Toldos awnings, this waterproof awning fabric around that corner, but it was never gonna hold. And before 6:30 on Friday night, rain. This was awake most of the night, running in and out and refixing pegs in the rain with a jacket on, and just reattaching these things because they pop off. I was saying about how these things pop off when the fabric, which is it's got a clamp around it. When the fabric gets pulled tight, the clamp gets and they spring off. I mean, they will fly 3 meters that way. Sometimes the wind will catch, as they're in the air, the wind will catch them and knock them to the opposite side of the tent. They'll land on the roof of the tent and then slide down the other side. Some of the ones early on, we lost entirely. I had 23 or 24 of them, and after the first night of real strong winds, I was down to like 13 or 14. And my friends brought me a couple of extra, a few bigger series clamps. It's the biggie that won't clamp today, it won't stay on. Which is creating a thing, it's allowing that edge to lift up, and then the wind gets under it, and that helps it ping the rest off. But I spent 2 hours in and out this evening, so I gave up on it now. He can do what he fucking wants, and I'll just be done with it. I'll just put up with it. But anyway, that was Friday night. In and out all night, and I mean all night. 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, once an hour at least, and sometimes once every half an hour, in and out in the fucking rain. And it was raining. So by Saturday morning, most of my preemptive fixes are no more. Where I've put bin bags in these splits to try and create a waterproof barrier, the tape's gone, it's let go, the thing's just hanging. In fact, if you look here now, there, that's four bin liners just hanging on a bit of elastic, kind of sort of blocking the hole if it does rain, so kind of sort of doing the job. But you can see it's not where I put it. It was to fill that whole gap right from ceiling to floor. So Saturday morning, it was quite apparent that the wind was just too much for my rickety attempt at repairs. Some of the places where I put cordage or rope through the grommets, some of those stretched straight away. The grommet, the metal hole had stretched and was becoming loose from the plastic of the tarp, just on first contact with the wind. Just straight away it was. Now they've held on. I think there's one here, one of the older ones broke off, I think earlier today, but I think it was straight away as well. If you've seen the video where that far end, where the tarpaulin, my original tarpaulin at the end of the tent is decimated. I mean, it's not doing anything other than, well, I was going to say looking pretty. It's not even doing that. So most of my repairs fell at the first hurdle. On first contact with the enemy, there were no more. So it was a Saturday morning where I recorded a video comparing and contrasting 2 different weather forecasts, and none of you watched it. Where some of my videos get a few hundred people watching on the first day, a couple hundred people on a really popular one, in the first 24 hours. My weather forecast ones get 30 people watching. But I show quite clearly 2 different weather forecast apps showing a 10-fold difference in the predicted amount of rain. One's showing like 3 or 4 millimeters for the day, and the other's like 35 or 40 fucking millimeters. There's a literal 10-fold difference in the 2 apps. And I'm supposed to be trying to plan my survival around these apps. Pitiful, it really is. So 8:30 in the morning, and I noticed that whilst I've got, if you can see here, let me show you this, if I can see past Tina. You can see the light blue tarp on the outside, so through that little gap there's a tarp. It's got a couple of rips in it at the bottom now, but that's pegged to one of the posts of the tent. So that's a tarp just covering that door and the far wall over there. And here we're looking at the actual door, what's supposed to be the real door, but it's just flapping loose, or was just flapping loose in the wind. And what happened when the rain came, the wind blew the door inwards. That outer tarp was stopping 90% of the rain, but the 10% that was getting through to this inner door, because the bottom corner of the door was blowing inwards, it was just pissing water into the floor of the tent. So I spent days trying to cobble together different ways of patching that door to not come in. With some of these clamps, I rearranged the clamps from the ceiling, from the roof, and I was trying to patch the door a little bit. I tried using safety pins. It kept breaking the safety pins, leaving me just with jagged bits of metal. I took the pliers and twisted those, and that's great until you want to get out. You've got to untwist the back. You've got a dog trying to pull through a door, and you're having to get a set of pliers and untwist some twisted metal. And each thing when I was securing the safety pin to the door and then to the other side, the wall of the tent, it kept ripping the zips off the zip fabric or whatever else I tied it to. You can see those loose bits of fabric. I mean, some of them were hanging off already, but it really couldn't take the strain of having the stress of the door in the wind. So the door's in 30, 40, 50 kilometre an hour winds that are blowing inwards, and you've got a safety pin holding it. The fabric, just the stitching on the fabric couldn't hold it. So yeah, we took damage at every twist and turn. And this is where I made possibly my most controversial move. I've had this camp stove sat inside the tent here now for over a year doing nothing. My mate Damien got me that right at the beginning of this channel, coming up on 2 years ago now. One of the guys just walking past one day, 2 guys, Damien and Simon. They kept bringing me things. They kept coming back and bringing me shoes and socks and clothing and the gas stove and the gas canisters, which are fucking expensive for what they are. €10 for 1 pound of gas, 450 grams of gas. Very expensive. But because of that, I've used other sources for cooking, and I made my most controversial decision on Saturday, which was to power up this stove inside the tent. Now I know what everyone says, and they said it the other night in the TrampCast special, but let's face it, we're not short of a bit of ventilation in here. I'll just recap. We got a door that doesn't close. We've got a slit from ceiling to floor. We've got an entire lack of ceiling. You know, that above the window there, that's just a gap straight out. This door doesn't fasten anymore either, and there's a big slit. This wall here is missing entirely. All we've got, this was meant to be a wall with a window, and this is the curtain inside the window. It's all gone. Well, Come on, back to me. No, back to me. So, I know it's controversial, but I powered up the camp stove inside and cooked. I still had some of my soup left on the Saturday. I had some soup and some coffee inside. There was no way. You see the wind here now. Imagine that, and you've got a gas bottle and a gas stove outside. It's not going to stay lit in this. It's just going to keep blowing out. Even if it did stay lit, so much of the gas is getting blown away before it ignites. It would take forever. You'd take an hour to boil a cup of water. So I chose to do it inside. In attendance all the time, wasn't left alone, no dog running around. Wet carpet, even if it fell over, it wasn't going to set a fire because the carpet was already wet. I'm in a tent talking about carpet as well, folks. King of the tramps. With my electric blanket, my television, my electric fans, my electric slow cooker. Thank you, Karen, for everything. So yeah, the camp stove inside the tent. Very carefully, with a wet floor, like I said, assured of the ventilation. Now, we got a few bright patches. But not in... I'm sure that it was bright enough that on a typical day, the EcoFlow would have been charging. But on this particular day, on the Saturday of last weekend, EcoFlow said no. It wouldn't charge with what was available, and so we're down to 30% on the EcoFlow as the day progresses. I spent 4 hours. This is Saturday evening into Saturday night. I spent 4 hours trying to charge my phone from the EcoFlow, and my phone was not having any of it. It was complaining that there was either debris or moisture on the cable that I was plugging in, and it was refusing to charge. So I spent 4 hours using a different cable, an A to C, USB A to USB C, which only draws about 2 watts from the EcoFlow. So there I am on my Saturday night wanting to watch Big Clive and Scruff Dog, my usual Saturday night programmes. Tina! That's enough, babe. That's enough. There I am wanting to watch my programmes on Saturday night, keep me sane, mixed with my people, like Jack Attack here, and my phone's on 5% and falling. I've got it plugged in and drawing 2 watts, and it held at 5% for quite a while. Then it held at 4, then it held at 3, and somewhere around, I keep trying the proper cable, the cable that will bring in 14 watts and charge it properly. And it keeps just bitching and saying, no, moisture or debris or whatever. So while the EcoFlow's sat just inside the door here, it's obviously been hit by a bit of moisture somewhere and the cables that go with it. But I fall asleep about an hour into Scruff Dog's YouTube program. I fall asleep and I wake up an hour later. And he's still on, but my phone's gone off. It's run out of power. Tina, enough, please. That's enough now. Run out of power. But when I plug the big cable in, the normal cable, it starts accepting a charge. So as soon as I get that thing charged up to 5%, and it only takes about 3 minutes when the phone's off, probably less. 2 minutes maybe to get up to 5% from empty. As soon as it's I'm on, I'm back on, and I'm in, and I'm away. I'm watching the final hour or so of Scruff Dog. But yeah, I'd had my nap. That was pretty much me now, because I'd been awake all Saturday night, Friday night into Saturday. I was knackered by the end of Saturday. But then I'd had my 1 hour nap, and then that was me awake all night again, and again running some more repairs. And while we're listening, we're hearing tearing, and I'm wondering what's the fucking tear? What's tearing? And I worked it out. What it was it was the remnants of the roof over my bedroom. Not the tarpaulin here, but the original tent roof, which was kind of 80% still in place. There was a big split all the way down that far side, but in the wind, the tension and the, not tension. Oh, anyway, it was getting pulled. And in the blustery wind, it was giving in the ghost. It perished enough now that it was ready to all tear off and start splitting, which has actually carried on today, and there's big chunks of it lying on the floor now. And this entire wall's just gone today. It has been going the last few days, but now it's just gone. More on that when we do this week's proper TrampCast, sometime in the next couple of days, I would imagine. I'm penciling in Tuesday in my head. It may become Monday, depends on the weather and the forecasts. When we talk about this last week, we'll talk more about some of this more recent damage. But like I said, last Saturday, I'd had my hour's nap and woken up, and that was me then. I'm awake now. But the sound of the wind and the sound of this tearing was quite disheartening. So yeah, we took that was probably the point where we took the most damage in a single go that one night. That if I misremembered, and it wasn't the Friday night that the far tarp went, it definitely by the Saturday night into Sunday of last week. Definitely. And my doorway, this is where I noticed that my doorway was fucked. Using various attempts with pegs and clamps and safety pins had knackered the door like I just showed you before. Got up properly at 8 o'clock and woke Tina. Basically the first break in the weather. As soon as I heard, you know, a lack of rain, we're straight out the door, even though it's wet underfoot, wet and muddy. Out and take her for a little, do her ablutions. Little lady's got to do what a little lady's got to do. But yeah, I was truly shocked at the extent of the damage here. But in my bedroom, around my bedroom, I'd got a split across the middle of this wall of the entire length of my bedroom that had not been there before, which has continued to get worse and worse and fall apart more and more. Timony, hello my friend. I'm just starting the Sunday of last week. I'm at the end, so that I won't be here too much longer, I don't think. Although it's quite a day from the looks of my notes, so maybe. Strap in. The weather's a bit bad, although it's not as bad as it was an hour ago, I don't think. Fortunately, because I don't think we would have survived that. The tent wouldn't. I don't mean I wouldn't have. We do have, folks, thanks to the generosity of you guys, I do have backup tents, and I'm just kind of loath to use them because extra tents in the field are just immediately going to bring the police down on me. Just past experience just tells me. I've used duct tape. I wanted to use what you're calling tie wraps. What would I call them? Not cable ties, but yeah, you know what I mean. They didn't line up properly with the tarpaulin and the frame of the tent. It wasn't the right option. Couldn't use them. So I did try with duct tape a lot of repairs, but they didn't hold. Zip ties, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I went with cable ties, which is halfway there. It's a weaker version, isn't it? But no, zip ties don't align with what I've got available to me in terms of grommets and the tent poles. Because of how strong the wind is, folks, I've been having to shout this entire time. I am struggling a little bit with the throat. It's always my excuse. Cheers, Jack Attack. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, everyone who's here. Cheers to the subscribers. Oh, okay. I don't know tie wraps. Sarongs. I don't even know what a sarong is. Is a sarong not like a skirt? It's not it's a skirt that you just tie a knot in the... Cheers, Timony. Okay, folks, where am I? We've just begun Sunday, haven't we? And I've taken Tina for her walk after all the damage. Yeah, and I was shocked at the damage to the not just to the tent, but to the tarpaulins again. Now, fortunately, folks, we've had this damage, but the rain has been way less than the more extreme forecast that I was seeing. Talk of 25 and 35 millimeters per day for some of these days. Did not happen. I'm certain of it. I mean, it's not like I've got a way of measuring, but based on previous numbers, when they gave a number and then it rained heavily, like New Year's Eve. If you watched a New Year's Eve hang out with a Tramp video, which is basically a TrampCast special, New Year's Eve. I don't think I labelled it TrampCast special, I'm not sure. But it's not in the normal TrampCast numbering. If you look at that, it rained torrential rain almost completely for 36 fucking hours. I was frightened that this field was going to flood like it used to in the old days, before they did the earthworks at the top. I was literally saying to Karen at like 3 and 4 in the morning, fuck, I'm worried. I think it's gonna go. And that was like, the forecast then was saying that was like 10 millimeters or something. And fuck. And here we are with forecasts of 25 and 35 mil. And I had a tent that was basically wide open to it. And yeah, I got a wet floor. My shoes were wet just from being on the floor. The carpet that I'm on now is still squelchy and will be for about 3 weeks, based on past experience. We got water in here, but considering how wide open we were to it with the damage we took, and how much was supposed to rain, it did not rain anywhere near as much as they say, or as much as they were predicting. But then I did have different forecasts that were 10 times different from each other, yeah? One saying 4 or 5 mil and one saying 50 mil. You know, man, it's just... So who knows? Maybe the lighter forecast was the more correct. This tent has survived a year here. I've survived 2 and a... It'll be 2.5 soon, won't it? October the 10th, 2022, I arrived in this field after 2 months in the park. So right now it's like in a week or in a few days, no, in a couple of days, it'll be 2 years and 4 months in this field, will it? 5 months, 2 years, 5 months. March the 10th. Tina, shush down. Shush. Okay, folks, where are we? Where are we? Okay. So as you can imagine, it was quite a day for me. And the bad weather kind of continued on and off on the Sunday. And I was trying to write up my notes and assess whether TrampCast was even going to happen last Sunday. I was holding on, hoping it would, but I was being rocked about by the wind. I was having to check that rain wasn't getting in at certain corners of the bedroom, and that the bed wasn't getting wet. I've mentioned in the past, my bed is 2 double mattresses, one on top of the other. Well, the bottom mattress was wet, still is now. In fact, the bottom of the top mattress that I'm sleeping on, the bottom of that is wet. It was quite a day. I mean, I was trying to assess whether TrampCast was going to happen, but in the end, I gave in and said no. The wind's too rough. It's too much rain. I'm having to do too many other things. So I just did a quick video saying no TrampCast today, and put that out there. I mean, I padded it out a little bit. I think it got to 4 or 5 minutes. It's one of my most watched videos for the time frame involved. It's crazy what people, I don't know whether it's the algorithm or just the choices people make. It's crazy what flies and what doesn't. So for example, and I'm stepping ahead a bit here, I'm coming outside because we're almost done here for the Sunday, so we're at an end of the week we're talking about. But watch TrampCast. TrampCast is what you're watching. It's a broadcast of a tramp. It's a tramp's broadcast, portmanteaued together. But I did two videos through this week. One on day 4 of the storm and one on day 6. The one on day 4 ran and ran and ran and was watched by so many more people. The one on for day 6 died a death as soon as it hit midnight that first night. And I didn't put it out until like 4 in the fucking afternoon on the day involved. So it only got a few hours to make a go. So it's like YouTube looked at it at midnight, said, oh, this wasn't watched enough today, not taking into account how long it had been there, and then they just turned the tap off and nobody watched it after that. It died a death. I'm a prophet, not a tramp. Oh God, I don't know about that. Let's not get above ourselves. Let's not get too far. You put well, there's a religiosity in there which I don't go with as well. But no. Let's bring this to a close, folks. Let's bring this. Oh, I see what I did there. I fucked up. Okay, I fucked up with my notes earlier. Doesn't matter now. Tina, no. Tina. Tina, girl. Tina, girl. Quiet, it's just a man walking his doggy. It's just a... Hey! It's just a mister walking his doggy. Hopefully. Tina! Enough now. Basta! Sufficiente! Spanish dog. You have to speak Spanish sometimes to get it to shut the fuck up. Where was I, folks? Where was I? I think we're done, aren't we? We're coming towards the end of Sunday. Where was I? I was talking about, okay, I walked the dog, breaking the weather. Yeah, walked the dog. Surprised at the damage. Now the sun, there was less rain than expected, yeah. And we got a little bit of brightness. 11:30. But not enough to charge the EcoFlow. So this is where my power management troubles are really beginning. If you remember the day before, we were only on 30%. Now we're picking up 14 watts, but we need 15 minimum. Oh, we must have picked up a bit extra along the way that previous day. We're on 55. And it just starts to charge a little bit. We get that little bit, not exactly brightness, but it just stops being overcast enough to do its thing. And as I said then, we're battered by the weather. We decide no TrampCast and do a video. I even chased the sun out of desperation. I put the EcoFlow and the solar panel on the other side of that field, facing this way, even though it's raining and overcast. I figure, hey, if we get 2 minutes of sun, I'll take a couple of percentage points of charge on the EcoFlow. I don't want to be sitting here waiting for it to happen and then trying to set up. So I set it up in readiness, but it just didn't happen. No further sun. We were done. That was it. So we got to get through. We're on 55% or thereabouts. We got to get through Sunday night, and then into the week, and you know, see how far we can get with the power we've got. If I'm starting a night on 55, under normal circumstances, I would expect to be starting the next day somewhere around 20%, maybe 25, depends how much I can moderate my use. But starting a day on 25%, let's say, and that day be a dull, overcast, rainy day all day, that's a problem for me. Because I will use that 20 odd percent through the day. This phone needs charging 3 times a day. The tablet needs charging once or twice. So it's a challenge in those circumstances, folks. But that brings us to the end of the week that was. The week ending Sunday, March the 2nd. And as I said, we will do an extra TrampCast at some point this week, hopefully early in the week, to cover the 7 days up to now. Because that's where this was the upcoming storm. This was the preparation, the getting ready, the anticipation, and then the first 2 or 3 days of it. We've got the actual week. We've got the actual week to deal with. The storm and everything itself. Upcoming, I would normally talk about what's upcoming in this next week. But of course, the next week for this particular TrampCast that we're doing, the upcoming that we will be watching out for are the things that have all just happened. Upcoming, the storm, the tent damage. Can we stay dry and warm even with the damage? Even if a lot of water gets into the tent, can we keep our corner of it dry enough to keep me and my doggy darling safe and warm and dry? That's the upcoming. And managing the power. Because I'll tell you now, it did become a fucking struggle. It did. It was a struggle, folks. Triumph over adversity. I trimmed my beard today, which has helped make me look not quite so dishevelled and not quite so worried and haggard, I guess. The prevalence of white below here, up here it's mainly its own colour. It's getting a little bit lighter nowadays. It does bleach in the sun still, so it does go blonder. It's the excuse I always use. People always laugh at me and say I'm making it up. I do go blonder in summer, and I've been sat out in the sun a little bit at times when we've had some. Not as much this week, but in the weeks running up. But all this white here downwards, and when it gets big and bushy, makes me look older earlier. I'm not young. 56, I think we worked it out as the other day. I never know my age. I subtracted the year. I subtracted my birth year from the current year, and adjust for where we are in the year. A fine mop affair. It's not bad for a bloke my age. My forehead became a 5 or a 6 head long ago. It is kind of receding and thinning, but it's not bad for what it is. Am I ready for my makeover? Yeah, as soon as we get a day without all of this. Have you just dropped back in, Karen, or have you been lurking in the background all along? I'll just look back and see if I've missed. Tim Timoney asked, can you run your channel just off your phone? I have. I created it from the phone and I ran it from my phone. I have no other option. I only have I've got the phone and the tablet, but they're both running off the same operating system. One's just very old and slow and clunky. There's big delays for page loads. Spanish Doggo or Perro, yeah? Me Perro. Double R for the dog. Is it? I got that right way around. Because Perro means but, as in but for this, or I like this but not that. But Perro for the dog, if I'm remembering them the right way around, which is unlikely, but yeah, we've more or less. I declared it over on, I think Friday night. I declared it more or less over, but it's done its best to prove me wrong and keep going. I mean, if you miss the beginning of the stream, it's worth a watch just for the fucking wind. This wall was, in fact, I think it's broken. I still think there's something wrong in that corner. But it was quite spectacular to sit in. I don't think it showed as well on screen as it might have. The phone didn't really capture it too well. But I enjoyed that TrampCast, folks. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying the fact now we've got some calm and some quiet. I can actually hear myself and speak to you without shouting too much. If anybody's got any questions, I'll carry on looking back through the chat a little bit to see whether I've missed anything that desperately needs a response. Yeah, readjusting the guy ropes. Tim Timoney was talking about. Yeah, I readjusted them all in the days in the run up to in the run up to the storm, and during the storm, because, like I said, I possibly made a wrong choice. I haven't got a choice with rope. I haven't got, what I'd love to have is like some paracord or bank line, but I can only use what I've got, and it's shiny plastic stuff. And I made the choice to go with an adjustable hitch, rather than a proper knot, a knot, because I figured I might need to adjust. What I found in the past, guys, if I tie a fixed loop on the end of a cord and then put a tent peg in the ground and fix it in that position, if the other side of the tent, if it moves somewhat, it can move this way, and suddenly your tight guy line or tight rope to the tarp isn't tight anymore, because the tarp's moved a centimetre this way. Suddenly your rope's not doing anything. So by having it adjustable on a friction hitch, where I could just re-tense it up and adjust. So that was why I made the choice I made. But a shiny plastic rope kind of defeats the object a little bit, doesn't it? It's a movable, it's a more slippery, so my friction hitch doesn't get the friction, and so it just loosens off and when it gets pulled by the wind. But you know, I watch a few of these prepper channels. I've tried learning a few knots over the course of my time here, mainly Corporal's Corner. Shout out to Corporal Sean Kelly, US Marine Corps retired. Learnt a lot from him. Not all of it directly applicable right here, right now. I don't get to dig a wooden hut and, you know, or dig a big hole in the ground, because I'm on a solid rock cliff top. But some of the things I've learned have become useful. Learning knots is definitely something people should do. I haven't got the right cordage to make a proper go of it. Just means I should be using a different knot, probably, doesn't it? I don't like the way this chat does not stay up. I got it at some point the other day on the Friday night when we did the TrampCast special. I had about half an hour where chat just stayed. It didn't fade away. It was fantastic. Here we go. It's fading again. Look. But Corporal's Corner is fantastic. Yeah, adjustable hitch would be good if it wasn't a slippery plastic that adjusts on its own. Have I seen the sea today? Tim Timony asks. No, I've only swum the once, by the way. I've only swum the once, but I go and stand on the cliff tops when I can. My dog struggles to walk that far nowadays. We don't often get her. Occasionally she'll be in the mood, and she'll drag me off that way. But usually when I haven't got my when I haven't got my phone with me, like 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll go and she'll walk a little bit further and a little bit further. Then she'll indicate that she's happy to walk a bit further. Suddenly we're on the top of the cliffs, but it's dark, it's the middle of the night, and I haven't got my phone. Now if she'd do that, you know, when I've got my phone with me and when we can see the sea, especially when we're out sometimes around sunrise time, 7:45, 7:30, whatever it is at the minute, before the clocks go forward and mess it all up again. I think it's actually about 7 o'clock at the minute. I've lost track a little bit because we're not doing the sunrise videos. But I do find myself out walking her at that time. But on those days, she just doesn't feel like going very far. Oh, I'm waving my finger in front of the camera again. Really is a bad design. Let me just go back and see. Oh yeah, there was a cable ties question. Yeah. I'm seeing a couple of new names. Welcome if you're here for the first time, or thank you for stepping out of lurker mode if you've been watching a while and haven't been commenting. Okay, I'm just seeing the drama that happened a while back. I can't see the actual messages, so I haven't got context. But if my mods feel that a 5 minute timeout is warranted, then it's warranted. I thought at first his keyboard was stuck. There's repeat messages coming, but I'm gathering that there was some other drama or something going on. But yeah, Terry's just watching the tent fall apart as you go. Yeah, as we do TrampCast. Yeah. I don't know, is Jack Attack still here? The wind has definitely dropped now, mate, yeah. Which I think is earlier than you said, isn't it? Oh no, it's about, I don't know if it's so late. I lose track. There's 3 or 4 new names that I've never seen before. And they're not all just sock puppets of a certain somebody. Okay, my chat only goes back as far as the fruit scones, but I think we were. I think I was up to date at that point. I was in the conversation there. Tina has her way. This is correct, Tim Timony. She's in charge. If we do a walk and she indicates she wants to turn around and come back already, we'll come back already. If she indicates she wants to carry on, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and my legs are cold because I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and it's got a bitter cold wind because it's 6 degrees outside, we'll carry on because Tina is king. Tina is in charge, aren't you, darling? Let me. Oh, have I done that? I've lost my lamp. I think, folks, if there's no more questions, we're about done, and I'm happy to sit and chat if people want to sit and chat. Let me put that on a medium light. I'm happy to sit and chat. I've got a big gaping hole in my bedroom wall. Let's just hope it doesn't rain. I've got the picnic blanket. I've got one of my 2 picnic blankets in there covering the bed, and I've got a bowl. Not sure if it's in there at the minute. I've got a bowl I put under the ceiling when it sprang a leak the other day. But that was the thing, folks. The tap was letting water through, and it was landing on the remnants of the original roof, which were fixed at one side and then slump across and sit on top of the inner bedroom lining here. So the water was coming in, say, above my head, but was flowing away to the edge of where the original broken roof was. But as it's been windy and more fractious and making more and more holes in that original tarp, and now it's got big tears and whatever. So the water was starting to come through those holes in the original. So it's coming through the tarp, then it's finding a way from where it originally enters and above my head, and then it started dripping through kind of on my lap. This was the one where I woke up with a wet crotch, which I mentioned in one of the videos. I woke up at like 3 in the morning and it had been dripping on one spot while I was asleep, and I'd not got my waterproof picnic blanket in place, and I'd not got the bowl of water in place, and yeah, it came through 2 quilts and through my clothing, and I thought at first, because I'm lying there and I've got the dog's backside digging into my side, I thought we'd had an accident. I thought Tina had an accident in bed, and that was why I was wet. But no, it was drip, drip, drip. But now that original roof is kind of not even there anymore to any extent. So wherever it first comes through the tarp, if that's directly over my head, say, that's where it's going to be dripping and dropping. We're going to get damp. More of a story than the Sistine Chapel, yeah. That was Leonardo, was it? Michelangelo, that was Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel. I could do with someone a bit more inventive. We could do with Da Vinci. Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci coming and inventing something to keep me dry and warm. But yeah, I don't know, folks. I don't know. Yeah, I think there was some sock puppeting going on, Jack Attack. Yeah. Why did you ban him? L. I don't know what it was over. If you can let me know afterwards, maybe in an email. We haven't got direct messaging, have we? If you contact me, we can do Messenger or something, Jack Attack, if you're amenable. And you can fill me in on what the story was, because all I'm seeing here is messages deleted. I thought at first he deleted them himself because of it repeating the same message, but then I realised it said deleted by Jack Attack. He was the one that was argumentative the other night, wasn't he, with the Canadians? So I don't know. We'll make a decision as to whether there's a permanent ban or. Oh, I see. He doesn't understand that the chat disappears, and I have to keep waving my fingers about it. I have to break my stride as well. This isn't the TrampCast special. I'm happy to break off and answer questions like midstream on much more. But these, I've got a structure to the show, and I'm trying to get through that structure. Yeah, Stephanie C in Canada. Yeah, but there's supposed to be a bit more of a structure to these, to the TrampCast proper. So where appropriate and where I can, I'll stop off and answer a question in the middle of a program. But I don't want to disrupt the flow too much. And if something's just question, and especially when they're all questions that I've said about 20 times to him the other night. TrampCast 001 has my entire backstory. It answers most of these questions about why are you arrested, what's your legal problem, why can't you leave the country, why have you not got any money, why are your bank, it's all in there. So, and I said either TrampCast 001 or the TrampCast special from 3 or 4 weeks ago. So to then be interrupting my show to try and answer questions that I've either already answered or that are already in those shows. Yeah, the previous episodes, yeah. Yeah, so that's a little bit awkward. How have you left it with him? Have you banned him permanently, or is it a timeout, or where are we at? Oh, I've got that can was. I was reaching out expecting an empty can, and it's full. That was a big gulp. Okay. No ban. Cheers, folks. Any more questions before we wrap it up? Then I see we're at kind of at our peak numbers just as I'm bringing it to an end. I'd like to carry on if people want to chat and talk and ask maybe some of those questions that might have interrupted the show. I don't know. Okay, mate. Going. Any more, folks? Otherwise, I'm going to draw it to an end. It is indeed my channel. And I protect those that come here. What was that? That was Tarzan, the animated series, wasn't it? This is my domain, and I protect those that come here. If anybody remembers Tarzan, the animated series from back in the 70s. Back around the same time as the Star Trek animated program. Karen's missed loads. Yeah, well, it'll be available on replay. You might have to wait until the morning to get chat replay. I have to wait. I'm a low priority to YouTube, so all the bigger channels get sorted first. I join a queue and get processed when I get processed. But usually by 9 in the morning, it'll be available with chat replay, which is the best way to watch it, folks. If there's anybody that didn't see the intro where I explain it on mobile to watch with chat replay when you're viewing on demand after we finish with all the live, when you look at it back on another day, you've got to put your phone in landscape, put your phone sideways, click the actual video player, and look for the double speech bubbles, one speech bubble behind another. That's the symbol that will bring up the chat as it happened, so that they time the chat messages with what's happening in the video. Keep it in sync. which is what some of the processing needs that they do. I found recently that when I first click it the first time, the panel opens for the chat replay, but it doesn't actually load anything. I have to click the X and get rid of it. It then puts an icon in the bottom right saying chat or chat replay, and when I click that and bring it back up, then it loads and populates the chat. Whether that's me, my phone, my version of Android, or whether that's just the YouTube app. I had an issue with the YouTube app earlier today, actually, because they've changed things again. After you create a stream, so after you set it up saying yes, there'll be a stream at 5 o'clock this afternoon, I couldn't get in and change anything. And I made 4 attempts to upload the thumbnail that I've created. And when I went and tried to share the stream, the live stream with Twitter, it didn't use the bloody thumbnail I'd created. So that was it. And then again, when I went live, it did that thing where it got the orientation wrong for the first couple of seconds. What it was showing me sideways on my screen. I saw someone ask a question and it flew past. What's the tipping point at which you'll be forced to decant to the backup tent? Heard you mention problems with the police. It would be absolute desperation. If I was sat here getting wet in the middle of the night in bed, then maybe that. If I reach a point where I can't adjust different semi-waterproof blankets and bowls, if we're getting wet, I mean, I'll probably put up with it for that night, but then I'd put the tent up that next day. The problem with the police is that if they see a second tent in here, they'll be, well, my belief is they'll be on me. If you look back at the playlist of my police interactions, I was getting visited weekly or fortnightly at the latest at one point. Right up to when I put this tent up, we got 2 visits that day. We had one where the cop, he drove down the road here. He got to the end and he just waved his finger and then he reversed out, and that was that. And then I think it was the same day. It's possible it was the next night. We got a cop actually come down and try and tell me that I can't camp here. And I gave them my usual line that I'm not camping. This is survival. And then I told her that her boss had been here and he'd been here a few weeks ago and decided there was nothing they could do. Private land, none of their business, absent a complaint from the owner. If it was public land, they could trespass me. But it's private land, it needs the owner to trespass me, and nobody can trace the owner, allegedly. Now, someone asked me a question the other day about what was my best decision. And I gave an answer about a different time in life, but possibly my best decision while being homeless was to come here to this field after I got kicked out of the park. Now, it didn't seem like a good decision that first night after the field flooded ankle deep and ruined all my electronics. And 31 days later, when the field flooded again, this time knee deep, twice in the one night, knee deep, drained down, then knee deep again with a second wave that later that same morning. Didn't seem like the right decision. But I dropped so lucky picking a place that happened to be privately owned, where the owner can't be traced, and where the police kind of can't do anything other than arrest me a few times and give me a criminal record. And a €450 fine. But for the last 8 months or so, they've left me alone. So yeah, overall, I think that was a good decision in the end. Overall, in the end, on balance, but with its... Can I put a tent up inside the tent? Karen's asking. Possibly. Possibly. Bye, Terence, if that's even legal. Or Terry, I'm going to call you Terry, even though it says Terence. I could put it up inside, but the problem is... by the time I'm deciding that things are bad enough that I'd need to be decanting to that other tent, I see where you're going, because it would keep me invisible to the police, wouldn't it? But everything would be so wet in here that putting the tent on top of like a wet mattress or maybe emptying this room and putting it in here, and it's going to be cold with water underneath, and I don't know whether I'd like try and put the tent up just on top of the mattresses. Excuse me. It's an idea, because I'd have that padding under me. But I'm not sure whether my double bed, whether my double mattresses would fit inside the tent. So I don't even know whether that would work to put the tent up outside and then drag at least one of the mattresses across. I mean, you know, Karen, I've got another tarpaulin here. My preferred choice is still to try and just put a new skin over the top of this. If the poles aren't broken, and I have to do something to keep them spaced equally apart, I have to put a new, that for the minute the seams are holding, even though the roof and the walls are blown away, the actual seams are here maintaining that framework. But I'm going to have to back that up with some cordage rope or something put across as an extra element to that, as a strengthener, as a backup, because those will break eventually. My first choice would be just to put put another tarp over the top, secure it all down as well as possible. The storm we've just had is a once in 2 year event, folks. We've had torrential rain for days on, for 1 day, 2 days, maybe occasionally 3 days, but we're now on like day 8 or 9. And with these winds, way more than any winds we've ever come through before. Way more, like on a different level. So I'm confident that if we can get a new skin over the top, get the big tarp that I've got that's my backup tarp, 8 meters by 4 meters. If we get that over and cover at least half the tent with that. Like I want to ground to ground around around half of the tent, and use the remnants of what's left to kind of patch the other half. Or with the money that Terry sent me, maybe buy another large tarp and just cover the other half. 2 tarps to cover the entire tent fully, secured as much as possible with cordage, with proper guy line or paracord or bank line. A few weeks ago I found 2 packs of tent pegs I did not know I had. I also dug out my rubber mallet. Hold on, folks. Just hold on. We've got a situation. I had light only on one side and it was getting darker and darker around me. But yeah, my preference is to make a go of what I've got and keep the backups as backups. Have I lived abroad? No. Oh, it's on the passive info. Okay, that's not the setting. Come here. 2, was it 3? It was the last one. So 1, 2, 3. I think it's this one. That's blocked from wherever it is. Better than nothing. No, I haven't. I've been to a few other countries. I haven't lived in other countries. No, I don't think. No, I haven't. No. Visited America, Morocco, Tunisia. Is that it? That might be it. Scotland. Does that count? Did live in Scotland. As a kid, lived in Scotland for somewhere between 6 months and a year. Dumfries, before Jack Attack asks. Dumfries itself. Just check I haven't missed anything else. Yeah, so that was ABS or ABS or ABS, I'm not sure. That was the one about the backup tent, decanting to the backup tent. My strong preference is this one. to just put a new skin over it. Now, it is now open and vulnerable to the rodents, as we've discussed already. The mice are in here. I wouldn't be happy if we start getting the other ones in. If the big ones find their way in, I won't be happy. But then we had a cat find its fucking way in, didn't we? Was that over Christmas? I heard something through here and I came through shouting and pretending to be a cat to scare away the mouse. And this fucking cat jumps up, runs across the table, knocks my Christmas tree over and jumps out of that hole in the wall that I showed you earlier. So I'm guessing if the cats can get in, then so could the... I don't like to say their name. It's all very Harry Potter. He who must not be named. So yeah, that would be the tipping point. It would have to get bad. It would have to get real bad. I would have to be getting wet in my bed. If I was sat there soggy wet through with 8 hours to go until morning, then I might consider just throwing the tent up. Or waiting until morning and throwing it up first thing while I make a decision about what to do about the rest. I would probably try and put it at that end where I've currently got my cooking set up, because the main road is there, so I would be at least partially obscured from... Oh, I thought this had finished. It's quietly building up while I'm sat here in shorts, but I've got a blanket over my legs, you know, like a little old lady with a shawl on or something. And I'm actually getting cold legs now. That's not good. But the wind's just reappeared. It snuck up on me while I wasn't noticing. Let me... Tim and his dentist is done for us. Okay. I was a kid. I don't really remember it that well. Ah, okay. Another way in. Jack Attack's giving us another way into the live chat replay. When you go to leave a comment, instead of pressing on the comment box, swipe right, and okay. Yeah, folks. Yeah, whenever you're in the chat, you wanna select all messages rather than top messages or. I think different versions have different wording, but you don't want it just showing you the best messages. You want to see all of them in all of their glory. Yeah. Okay, folks. I think I'm gonna bring it to a close there. Yeah, I haven't seen footage of the floods in Spain. Apparently, Alicante area was one of the badly hit areas, which I can believe. I just didn't hear anything about it, even though I'm here. Yeah, I didn't. It's funny how the media is sometimes. You don't always get the full story. But okay, folks, watch out for. It's not going to be a TrampCast special per se. It's going to be a normal TrampCast, but covering the 7 days up to today. So that is the storm. You've just watched the oncoming, the upcoming of the storm. We're going to watch the actual storm, the days. We're going to discuss how it went down. I'll try for tomorrow, depending on the weather. But I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards Tuesday. Main reason is writing these notes out, taking them from the phone and writing them onto the page. It's a good 2 or 3 hours work. I had it done in 2 hours today, and then I was going to create the live stream and the thumbnail and everything, and YouTube messed me about so fucking much when I tried to create the stream and put the thumbnail on it. It messed me about so much that I knew I didn't have enough time to write up the notes for this last week. If I could have had them all written down, I maybe would have taken an hour's break at the end of this one and maybe come back and done this week's TrampCast, now kind of thing, or, in half an hour. But it didn't work out that way. YouTube foiled my plans. Here's my girl. She's there, yeah? Let's close out with the tradition, folks, if we can, if she'll let us. I'll just check that I haven't missed any final messages. I'll tell you what, folks, I'll do a quick cheers to you, because I need a drink. Cheers, folks. Cheers to you guys that are still here to the death. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. Thank you for helping me and helping the channel grow. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already on the way out. Maybe leave a comment after the after we end. Cheers, guys. So, as I say, I'm going to bring it to an end. So, from Tina Girl. Tina. Let me see if I can put the... I can, can't I? There she is. From Tina. And from me, Delta Mike, out.